Anybody like looked into this stuff at all or read anything about it besides Sucrit, who invented them? Anybody? A little bit.
A little.
All right. So the basic premise of WebSockets, like usually with how we've been using the applications, how it works is your client browser sends a request to the server, and the server sends back a response, right? Client sends request, server sends response. And that's how you get new information on your front end. You send a request to the back end sends a response with information to the front end. So it's reliant on your client sending that request. With WebSockets, the server can send information to any client without receiving a request from that client. So if we have a live application, and like a lot of times this is used for a chat feature, if Sucrit and I are chatting, and Sucrit sends a new message, that his client will send that request to the back end, and that back end will send the new message to my client, who did not send a request, right? We're just getting that information sort of unprovoked. So that's sort of the basic idea of WebSockets. And we will see how that works. So Rails has let's see what I'm working with here. This is my Mod5 project. Rails has something built in called Action Cable. You don't have to install any gems or anything like that. It's already there. And so what we'll do is, you can see here, like, this is sort of, instead of rendering JSON, we're going to do this Action Cable broadcast. So we're going to broadcast this via Action Cable, whatever this is here, this event. And then any client who's listening via Action Cable will get that broadcast, will get that message. So we will talk about the back end first, and then we'll shift to the front end. Pretty easy on both parts. So I guess maybe I should start my application so you can see. I got a lot of stuff going on here. Give me a second. I got this running. Let's get rid of that. You can actually see all this. I don't know why. This is a totally different thing, but it's like already looking for. This is like what web socket stuff here. Anyway, all right. So let's go. Let's start this project up. Let me find the back end. Actually, doesn't matter. I don't know if you guys know this, but you can set the default port for your front end, which is just right in your package JSON. You just add this right here. What just happened? Oh, okay. All right. And then I need to start the back end. Let's do that. This is taking forever. Back end, Rails S. All right. Come on. Okay, that's going. Go. Cool. All right. Yeah. Here. Refresh this. It's always good when you get errors on your project. It's supposed to be finished. Something comes up. All right, yeah, I just had to clear local storage. Okay. So let me log in. It's myself here. So when you're testing this, you can open up a private browser, or they can both be private browsers, whatever. You can log in here as somebody else. I'll log in as Sucrit over there. Actually, if you go to Sucrit's profile, you can see that he is indeed the inventor of WebSockets. All right. So let's see how this. You can see it in action. Maybe you saw it when I did the science fair, but if I make a new post and I just use some random information and create post, if you look over here, we have this notification up here that there's a new post. So we click on that, we can see this new post. And if I'm already on the post page and I make another new post, let's actually make this smaller so you can see it happen live. Not that small. Let's close this out. All right. Okay. So you can see now there's like a new notification, one new post. Some poor grammar there, but we'll click that, post pops up. So you can see this page is getting that new information based on what I did over here, right? So that's sort of the premise. So how do we do that? I have several different WebSocket channels, they're called. Things get broadcast via a channel. So this one is the post channel. All right, so if we look at my back end, I'll have a post channel. And anytime a new post comes in, if we go to the post controller, when you create a new post, if the post is valid, then we're going to broadcast via the post channel. All right? So this is not like unique to any specific posts. We'll see later that you can make channels that are unique to a specific post, or I have events, so unique to a specific event. In my project, through events, you can chat with other people. So there's a WebSocket channel that sets up broadcasts that are unique to a specific event. So we'll get to that point. Okay, so it makes sense how they work. Everyone understands that? Yes? Any questions? Just about the idea of them, not about how to set it up, obviously, but maybe I can make that bigger for you guys. There we go. Okay, so how does this work? What happens is to do a couple things in the back end. First, if we go to our routes somewhere, where are routes? Config, right? Yeah, okay. Somewhere down here, you have this line of code. And that's it. Mount action cable dot server arrow / cable. Simple. Okay? Nothing to it. So you put that in your routes. I don't think it matters where, but I mean, at the end, it's not going to hurt anybody. And then, if we want to set up the post channel that we were just using, what we're going to do is in our terminal, we would write, sorry, let me move this over here. So in the back end, somewhere, there, oh no. No, back end. All right, so in our back end repo, you know there's a bunch of Rails generators, right? Rails G migration, Rails G resource, blah, blah, blah. There is one for Rails G channel. So Rails G channel, and then so this channel was called post channel. If I remember right, you would just need to do posts. Let's just make one up. Let's say Rails G channel thing. Let's see what happens if we do that. It's been a while, remember. Give it a second. Cool. So it made the thing channel file. So if we look in under app, we have a folder called channels, which I don't believe you will have until you make the first channel. But then down here, you can see we have a new file, thing channel. Okay? And this will give us two methods, subscribed and unsubscribed. We'll talk about subscribed in a sec. That's the important one. In unsubscribed, I spent a whole day battling with this. Raise not implemented. That's the one. I don't know why you have to do this. No idea. But if you put nothing here, you're gonna have a pretty bad time. So put raise not implemented error and just leave it. That's all you gotta do in unsubscribe. It's like for when like the front end, the clients are no longer listening. There's like cleanup. Secret maybe of more information.
Yeah. So the unsubscribe has to happen. It could either happen in the back end or the front end. So either the back end can be in charge of just detecting when users no longer communicating, or you can do it in your front end. So it doesn't have to be exactly like this. It's a little bit harder to do in your front end. So this is the recommended way to do it. But if you don't unsubscribe, your server is still listening to the channel forever until like someone actually unsubscribes. So if you like have another user come in, or like the server's not being used, or this channel's not being used, but other people are subscribing to other channels, it's just excess performance that's being just completely wasted. The server's still listening to this one thing. It still thinks someone subscribed.
And I don't know why this specific line of code makes the unsubscribing happen.
I think it returns something that ends up just causing the server to close it.
Yeah. Okay. But if you do nothing ever unsubscribes, and then you spend a whole day of mod 5 trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
If you raise an error, it should stop the process.
So yeah, that's it. Just do this. Question? Yes.
Then who called this unsubscribe method?
Rails
Rails?
handles that for you. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to worry about it. Well, Action Cable, I guess, handles that for you.
What you can do instead of raise not implemented error, you can unmount the cable. So
On the front end.
you
or on the back
also
end.
do it in the back end. So in the back end, you have your route, you mount a cable,
Yeah.
/ cable. You can unmount the whole cable, but
In
not
like
specifically recommended.
in unsubscribed. Ah, interesting.
You can unmount the cable.
All right. So different ways to do it. This way worked for me.
This is probably easier than any other way I've seen.
Yeah, it's super
Shut
easy, and yeah, and it works just fine. Okay. So that's unsubscribed. Now, in our subscribed, if this channel, like the post channel, for example, that's very like broad for all posts. You don't need different channels that are unique to specific posts, right? This is just for all posts, and all clients will be listening to this channel. And if that's the case, we have this simple line of code here. I'll just copy it over. So thing channel, right? Thing channel here. Oh, you can see it here in the comment. Yeah. And that's it for here. Okay? Super easy. Any questions, Renee?
Is a stream from application table?
Yes. Yeah, it's just a built-in application cable method. Yeah, I think it can look like this. It's just a method that Action Cable calls, I believe. Excuse me. Okay, so that's the whole setup on the back end. Now all we need to do is actually, when we make something, we just need to broadcast through this channel. Now I don't have a thing controller, but if we look at our post controller, when someone creates a new post, so when I was here making new posts, that is being sent to my post controller in the back end, which is here. Okay, so that's being sent here. The post, we attempt to make the post. If it's a valid post, then we are going to broadcast it to all of the clients that are listening. So basically, anybody who's logged into the application, their client is going to be listening to this post channel, and so they're going to receive this broadcast. Okay? And all we do is we say, if it was a valid post that somebody made, actioncable.server.broadcast. And that takes two arguments. The first one is the channel. So if we go back here, we said stream from post channel. Okay, that has to be the same. So in our post controller, the first argument is the channel. So we're going to broadcast via the post channel. And the second argument is whatever you want to broadcast. So this is just the post. I'm calling this method post for broadcast, which is basically a custom serializer, because you can't, you're a little limited here with your use of serializers. There's no way that I could find, like when I render a post anywhere else, I have this include ****. Have you guys seen this? Basically, it digs in a couple or as many layers deep in the serializer as it needs to. But I couldn't find a way to do this in here. So what I did is I made a custom serializer. So not important, but something that you might need to think about. And here you go. So I'm just basically recreating what the serializer does. So there's a lot going on there. But anyway, so that is going into the second argument of the broadcast in our post controller. Where my controllers go? So that's what this is. So this is just the object that you want to broadcast. Okay, this is the new post that was just made. And that's it. On the back end. The front end's easy too. It's fine. Any questions?
Yes. So maybe this will be clear in the front end, but if I'm a user, I'm assuming that I have to select a channel in order to
On the front end.
On the front end?
Yeah, the user doesn't have to select a channel, but it's written into the code.
Okay.
And we'll see that in a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's more just like a comment. On the back end, you kind of cover like every core piece of a WebSocket, and then from the front end, you kind of like piece together how you interact with it. So like the core parts of a WebSocket are channels, right? And you have to handle a subscription and an unsubscription effectively. So as long as you can kind of understand like what a channel is and how to subscribe to the channel, like right here, the subscription method, at some point in the front end, you have to make a request to subscribe to this channel. And that tells the backend that this user is okay with me pushing things to it. So you have to have some sort of a handshake. Once that handshake happens, then everything's just handled from the controller that's broadcasting to the channel over and over. Yeah, really all you have to do is subscribe. That's the only thing you have to do on the front end.
Right. So
Yeah.
So every instance of a message or a post that we create in the controller will automatically get sent to this channel, and then channel can decide what to do with it.
Yeah, that channel it gets sent out, and any client who's listening to this channel will hear that message. Right. And that'll make more sense when you see the front end. But yeah, just to recap here, to set it up, in our routes, we have this one line, mount action cable dot server, arrow / cable. All right, and then to set up a channel, in our terminal we said Rails G channel, and then whatever we want the name. So if we wanted to make a thing channel, we would say Rails G channel thing, or Rails G channel posts, or Rails G channel messages, whatever you want it to be. And then in the channel, when we make it, what I like to do is, or what I do is put raise not implemented error in the unsubscribed method. This is the file that gets made for us, so we just need to add this line here. And because this channel is not unique to specific instances of anything, we're going to use this stream from, and then we give it the name of the channel, thing channel. If it is specific, which I think here, yeah, we're going to find the events, and then we're going to use the stream for, but we'll get to that. And then if we're broadcasting, if someone makes a new post, we want to broadcast it to everybody. We have this action cable.server.broadcast via the post channel, and then whatever the object is that we want to broadcast. So this will also look slightly different for broadcasting via a channel that's unique to an instance of something. Show you an example. Yeah, a broadcast to, and then like this specific channel name. But we'll cover that probably after you guys come back from the design thing. All right, any questions? Front end? All right, let's do it. Okay, so in the front end, you need to, you can see right here actually, you need to install React Action Cable Provider. So in your terminal, you would run npm install React Action Cable Provider. --save. I haven't actually used that, but I probably should.
It adds it to your package.json right away.
Oh, so anytime I create a new thing, then it always has it?
Well, no. So like if you're in your Connect front end and
Yeah.
you do npm install.
Oh, this is,
React
yeah,
Action
this is
Cable,
also the wrong spot, but
Yeah, and if you do --save, it updates your package.json automatically with the correct versions and everything.
but if you don't, then what happens?
If you don't, like you might run into a version issue.
Huh.
You have to install it again. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so like if you try to go to another computer and like declone your repo, they have to npm install it. Or npm install React Action Cable Provider. Whereas this like bundles it, so if somebody clones your repo, you can just do an npm install and this will get installed along with everything else. It creates an dependency.
I should probably go back and do that for my projects.
It's
Interesting.
really good. It creates it as a dependency.
All right, very cool. So you'd run this, npm install React Action Cable, all one word, -provider. Okay. So, what it's gonna look like on the front end is we're gonna have a component that let me show one of them to you, that you render, that doesn't create any HTML, which is kind of nice. Let's see if I can find. I made mine all separate components actually. So we're doing posts, right? So let's go to the post channel cable component. we're gonna render this action cable consumer component, which has a couple of properties that we'll get to in a minute. But that's what it's gonna look like. But before we get to that, let's go to, I think it's an index. Yeah, this is really messy with all these imports. It's probably not great, but in our index.js, where we're rendering our app, we're going to wrap this action cable provider around it. And we're going to give it one property, URL, equal to, if we're testing locally, to this string. ws:// localhost 3000/cable. And if you remember in the back end, we mounted in our routes, sorry, I'll go back to that in a second, but we mounted this cable at /cable, right? Anyway, so action cable provider, URL equals this URL here, close it off down here. And I believe you have to also you need to import action cable provider at the top. And that's from the package that we just installed. So we're gonna wrap our app in this action cable provider, and then in the appropriate places, we're going to render an action cable consumer component. Everybody good so far? Cool. So let's look at the post one. So we need to import action cable consumer from the same package, React Action Cable Provider. And what we do is, or how I did this is, if we go back to, so this is its own component here. I'm rendering this entire component in my app. So if I go to app, I have post channel cable that I'm rendering. And again, this doesn't it won't render any actual HTML. Just kind of this like invisible component that is listening for broadcasts from the back end. So that's coming from this file here. And what we render here is this action cable consumer component. And we give it two properties. The first one is the channel that we're listening to. So this is for my post channel, right? My post channel cable here. So we're going to listen to the post channel. So notice here, post channel, what is title case, right?
Yeah.
And which matches on the back end, matches my class of post channel. So this specific action cable consumer component is listening for broadcasts via the post channel. And then when it receives a broadcast, we want to do something with that information, right? So we give it this onReceived event handler here, event listener. And this method here, which is just coming from here, what's going to happen is automatically whatever information gets sent. So we'll go back to the back end. My post controller is broadcasting basically the new post that was just made. So on the front end, we're going to get that post here, and it's going to be passed automatically to my callback function here. So you can see here we're taking in this new post, and then we are doing X, Y, or Z thing with that post. And I will talk about that in a sec. But any questions about how this works? This is probably a little more confusing than the back end stuff, but. Anybody know what the past tense of broadcast is? Is it broadcasted? Is it? It doesn't sound right. Are you sure? Can I get some? Yeah. Let's get a fact check. I feel like either one works.
It is past tense broadcasted. Or you say to have broadcast.
No, broadcasted. Broadcasted. Broadcast. Post broadcasted. All right. I'll go back and fix this.
So apparently either of them are acceptable.
Knew it.
Past tense.
Nailed it.
In this situation.
Yes.
Newly
Newly broadcast post.
So in the recent past broadcast.
I think it depends
So it works.
on the context.
All right.
Broadcast is always something happened.
Right.
Have been broadcast.
They're broadcast, they did it already.
It's a noun, right? It can be a noun.
It can be a noun. And here it's a verb here, but
English is making sense.
anyway, besides the point. This is not grammar class. All right.
All your code has to be grammatically correct. Or
I mean, it should, right? Or comments anyway, probably should be. Yeah. All right. Okay, so our back end, when someone creates a post, is broadcasting that post via the post channel. And then on the front end, what we did was we wrapped our app components inside this action cable provider, right, with the appropriate URL that's ending in /cable. And then we have a, here we're rendering this post channel cable, which is this React component, which is returning this action cable consumer, which is a component that is listening for broadcasts coming through via the post channel. And when it hears something, it's going to take that thing that was just, that it received, the information that was broadcast, and it's going to do something with it. Have this aptly named method handle new post, and it's not really important what this is doing, but basically if I go here and I make a new post, do it again, oops, oh, what, yikes. Okay, create post, and it has been too long, so my server's probably shut down. Alright, let's try it again. Was like 10 minutes if you're inactive, then like everything, the server's like stop.
Should be 30 minutes.
There we go. So when the new post came in, what my code is doing is basically, if you weren't the user that just made this post, then I'm using Redux, so I'm dispatching this action to add this new post waiting. Basically, there's a new post that was made waiting for you to see it, right? And when that happens, it's gonna render some nice notifications, and then once I click on this, it's going to show you that new post, which is right here. And that's basically it. If you were the creator of the post, I think it does something a little bit different. So if you're logged in and if the creator of the post ID matches your own ID, then you add this post to your own list of created posts, and then you just, like, I got redirected here to all of my posts, which are all the ones I just made, since I was the creator over here. What do you guys think? Is that confusing?
So that allows you to change the Redux store of the other users?
Well, you're not impacting What do you mean exactly?
It's because you said that that function was like a Redux function, right? Like type in an action.
Mm-hmm.
You're not affecting another person's Redux store directly.
Right.
What that function is it's kind of checking. So any user that's logged in, right, is gonna have this function waiting. Like it's basically if the server broadcasts something to you, or something's gonna happen. You have subscribed to this
Sorry.
channel, right? So the server is now pushing you information. So if I'm logged in, right, I'm being pushed information even though even if I didn't make a request. So this is just a function that happens on either end to see how I will handle that information. You know, if that post that's being sent to me is not one that I made, then I will dispatch a different action. But if it's a post that's being sent to him and it's a post that he made, he'll dispatch a different action.
So first goes to the server, and the server goes to the front
The
end.
server pushes it to everybody.
And then that function takes a new post and does switches into the show it to the
So like it's just it comes back to the server is pushing information to everybody. How everybody handles that information is up to the front end code, but the server is giving you information. That's all it is. I can have the server send you information even if you didn't make a request.
Yeah.
If he sent you a post and then you received it in the front end, does it persist on your backend?
So the backend is universal. The backend is just one thing. It's not like we have localized backends. It does persist in the backend though. So the way it works is it's kind of up to the controller. So in his controller, when someone makes a request to the post, or like to post a new post, to create a new post, the server creates that new instance of an object, right? And then to anybody who's subscribed to the post channel, so if I'm looking at posts right now,
Also,
I'm subscribed to the post channel. So even if I didn't make a request to the server says, this person's looking for a post, this post was just made, I'm just gonna send it to them.
now you have that too.
Right.
Now I can see that post without actually making a request to the server. So before I would have to refresh
Or get, right?
or make a get. So I don't have to make a get. So if you, like in his code, there was one point where the action cable provider, you can see the URL.
Yeah.
Instead of like HTTP, it says WS:, right? So that's a whole different protocol. The server is just sending you things. You don't have to actually make an HTTP request. You don't have to make a get, patch, or whatever. You don't have to do anything like that. The server's just gonna send you the stuff. No request made.
Renee.
This is so awesome. How does it play with auth? If it does.
I mean, auth is like handled entirely separately.
Yeah.
In his code, like he had that function that checks, am I the user that made the post? Right, the auth was already handled. It's just checking now, like, is my user ID the same as the user ID of the creator of the post? So
Right.
It's entirely separate. It can play well with it.
Yeah. I mean, they sort of interact indirectly. We'll see it a little bit later. But I have, if I go to like in these events that I have, you can chat. And this is like another use of WebSockets here, and is that this chat will be live updating for new messages. But like only the people who have been invited to this event can see it, and only they will be listening to that specific channel.
So you remember how I said there has to be like a handshake that happens, like
Right.
to subscribe to the channel? Right, so this is a channel that's specific to a particular event that his user is authorized to see. So the authorization happens, and then you're allowed to subscribe to this WebSocket channel.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think if I look at my code,
That way, like you can. So prior, he was just subscribing to an overall post channel. In that specific event, it's a different type of channel that's specific to he's subscribing to any changes that occur to this instance of an event, right? Instead of subscribing to events as a whole, he's subscribing to this specific event, and if something in that event changes, he'll get
right.
something pushed.
Right. So like for the chats for each event, here what I'm doing is these are all the events the user is either hosting themselves or attending, and then for each one of those events, I'm making a new Action Cable consumer component. But like through the auth process, you're not going to be able to access events that you're not hosting or attending, and those will never be part of this list. And so you will never create and render a Action Cable consumer component for that event, and so you will never be listening to that specific events channel. And we'll see that more afterwards. Any other questions so far?
So, can I see the on receive? So this is the on receive.
Yeah, let's look at that. So this is for the post channel that we're working with.
Right. So this is for the receiver. Like if I'm the receiver of the message, and if I get
This is
any message in that channel, that function would be triggered.
yeah. So basically, anytime a new post gets created, anywhere where a user is logged into this application, not even logged in, anywhere where the application is open, this is going to be triggered because every this channel is not unique to anything. So everywhere where like there's a client with this application open, anytime a post gets created, every single one of those clients is going to run this method. And if this is the method up here, right? Basically, this here and this here is checking if someone's logged in. If nobody's logged in, then we're not going to do anything. And then basically we're just checking, is this user that's logged in, was he or she the creator of this post? If so, do one thing. If they were not the creator of the post, do something different. And that's it. But every single client that has this application open is going to run this method when a new post is broadcast out. Yes. Yeah, if there are no more questions, you guys have the design thing. Do you want to come back here after and talk about unique channels for specific things? Because that's kind of, I think, yeah, it's a little trickier. It's not really much trickier, but it's very applicable and I think very useful. So
I think that's much more useful.
much more useful. Yeah.
Subscribing to a whole channel.
Right. All right. So we'll do a quick, I guess, review when you guys come back, and then we'll jump into the next part of it. Cool. Yeah.